I'm also an educator. I used to teach at Baltimore School for the Arts. I'm adjunct at MICA. And so that's me in a kind of a nutshell. In terms of ritual, it is embedded in my practice as a performance-based artist and an interdisciplinary artist, but it has been something that has been really important to something I bring into my classroom and then also into my life now during this whole time when everything is happening in one space. So I just kind of want to share how it evolved. It evolved for me when I started to think about when I was going into my classrooms with my students, and I had students at BSA who were coming from all over the city. So they were coming from north, south, east, west, and they were coming to kind of central Baltimore. And what I was noticing was that, like, yes, I was teaching sculpture or new media, but what I was finding was that my students were not coming into the studio just as artists. They were coming in as full beings. And so some of what I kind of realized was that if I could set up rituals in the space around how we share and how we create and why we create, then it was giving space for these students to have agency over kind of what was happening. Because if something was happening in a student's home on the South Side and they took 2 hours to get to BSA, what I was finding was that all of that energy was coming with them. And if I could help to create a ritual and a safe space for them, then they could emote and actually really be able to articulate themselves through the art that they were creating. And also it made a big difference for me. So ritual is a part of my life. And when I break down ritual, I want to explain it this way. We all practice ritual. Life itself is, to me, ceremony and ritual, but something as simple as like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, the way you prepare food, even the way that I go from one meeting to the next, I have created ritual around it. And so the reason why is because what I really found is, like, if I'm in this space and then I'm going to a meeting, I don't want to take that energy that I had in that moment into the next. It is a way for me to set intention and to get myself prepared for what's next and to really kind of set myself up for success, but then also make sure that I'm communicating what I really want, whether it's through my art or as a mother. I'm a mother of 4, and that's something I'm navigating, as also being a creative and all the other ways that I show up. So the what, the how, and the why. What I'd like to kind of talk about too is this concept of coupling rituals. And so I want to talk about what that looks like for me. So I'm going to give you an example of one of my rituals to begin with. In the morning, when I when I get up now, I set an intention. Before I get out of bed, I have my journal, and then I kind of write down things that I want to investigate, that I want to manifest during the day. I think about how I want to create this day. Sometimes it's as simple as me thinking about the cup of tea I'm going to make, or what's important to me. Another thing that's really been powerful for me, like I said, is coupling. So in making tea for myself, I will actually have that be a full thing. I set aside maybe 15 minutes. I brew a pot of tea. I sit in a certain space. I have all of my materials. I think about what I want to investigate. And it's a way for me to kind of create a safe space around myself to be creative, but to also feel like I've created a boundary, a safe space for me. Another thing is like coupling things with, especially for me as a mom right now with 4 little ones in my house, who are navigating what that looks like for them in the world. Finding time for me is a thing. So when I'm taking a shower, I will meditate while taking a shower. I will think about, okay, these are my ingredients. I'm going to have lavender. I'm going to have all of these things. I'm going to bring some essential oils in there. I'm going to also have some music in there, things that are for me. And then during the shower, I set it up for myself so that I will be releasing energy. And so that's an example. So one thing I'd like to just share and that we can talk about is like pre-ritual preparation. So before I jump into that, does anyone kind of want to share something that they consider a ritual that they do on a daily basis that's really kind of helped them through this, or like that they want to kind of expand on or think about? Anyone? If you have something you want to share, it's like your ritual, like, please feel free to jump in. Hand raised. If you do want to share, you can unmute and speak out.
Peter?
Hi. Yep. I just wanted to share it's the tiniest little ritual, but I'm living with my boyfriend, and when we sit down for dinner every night, before we start eating, we do a little like the pinky swear thing, just the little pinky, clasp of pinkies, and that's we're gonna get through, we're gonna be all right. And for me anyway, it's sort of my little gratitude moment, because usually he's the one who made dinner.
Oh wow! So like, if that's so, yeah, I see that they thank you so much for sharing. Was that Peter?
Yep.
Thank you, Peter. So if that feels really good, and like that's a thing that you could immediately like kind of, it bubbles up, I would like to invite you to maybe think about how you can expand that energy and maybe add more to it. Because like what I find is things that are working well, I try to stretch them to savor them. So maybe as we go through this, you can think about ways to add to those, that things that are working really well. Does that make sense? Maybe.
And we've also heard from Cindy. She meditates before she eats every morning. We had Elizabeth, who did a ritual for the new moon. I have started a weekly drawing and journaling ritual. And then we have a couple people who'd like to share. Lauren Kingsland, if you want to start.
Yeah, please.
Hi, thank you. I have a morning ritual of getting up and breathing deeply, fixing my coffee, sitting in a particular chair with my journal, and I write the things I am grateful for in that day, and then I do a drawing based around dots that represent all those things for which I'm grateful.
Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. You talked about all of it. You also were engaging so many senses. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Did I miss anybody else that shared?
I think we've got Jen who wanted to share. Jennifer?
Okay.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. Every morning, I actually live near a park that has a walking trail. So every morning I take my dog and we either walk or run, but I try to like take some pictures of the things that are around me, and just really kind of meditate during that walk in the woods, because the woods really speak to me.
And that's like really, thank you for sharing that. And that's super powerful, because it sounds like you were thinking about things that made you feel whole and like you, and now you've been kind of investigating them through ritual as a way to maybe self-soothe. Am I kind of getting that right a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
And I have 2 little boys as well, and it kind of prepares me for the day. It gives me that calm before the storm, I guess.
I get it.
And we heard from a few others with some great rituals. Joelle, watering her plants and seedlings first thing in the morning, and then checking on them throughout the day as a way to take a break from work and reconnect. Carol Reed, when I am stressed, I set up tea and my journal on the front porch, and my husband knows it's my quiet time. Ashley meditates daily in the morning to neo soul music, and she lights candles. And Kelly will touch and whisper to her plants while watering them and making coffee. Actually, Kelly, my mom told me that's the best way to keep plants alive.
Oh, what was that?
That's from Kelly. And then Katie, her quarantine ritual has been sitting by my back window doing art, whether it be calligraphy or watercolor.
Yeah. So what I think would be amazing is if you can think about, thank you all for sharing, we'll continue to be sharing throughout this. If you can start to jot down, hopefully you have a journal, like I have my journal with me. If you don't have a journal, maybe put notes in your phone. Write down those things that like bubble up. As other people shared, I was thinking about things that make me feel whole, centered, valued, seen, heard, safe, secure. And I wrote down those, and they become ingredients. So when you look at the pre-ritual preparation, what I think about is my tools. Like literally, people mentioned sketchbooks, they mentioned like something that's you taste, whether it's coffee. It's like, what are the tools and what are the materials? Just in the same way as an artist, I approach like making a piece. This is me creating the ritual. So what I would love for you to write down is your pre-ritual preparation. So for example, and I love that, I forgot who said it, but please, like, if you can remind me that when like your husband knows, like if this is set up that it's your time. Everyone, where I'm sitting is my throne in my house. I'm wearing a crown because that makes me feel like me. When my children see this, they're like, yep, mommy's doing the thing. She's taking care of herself and this is her moment. So it's like we have these signals that we've given each other through nonverbal communication. They can kind of see me. So think about all the tools and materials, and then we'll start to think about the steps. So if it's something that's in the morning, I will set myself up from the night before. If I want to do some gratitude journaling or some free writing, I'll have my pen and my paper next to me. If I want to do a new moon ritual, I'll have all the things I want to do in advance. And so think about, determine, and what those steps will be. So write down like your pre-preparation, your tools and materials, your ritual steps, and this is the most important thing for me, the post-ritual, how to harness it. Because what I really want to do in this moment is savor. One thing I'm finding for myself is that the energy that comes up sometimes is out of my control. There has been moments throughout this where I've just cried and I couldn't identify why. And that wasn't my goal, was to figure out why I was crying, but to like help myself soothe. And so what I can do is, now that I have all of these rituals and I have them all kind of, like almost like creating a recipe for success for my self-soothing, I can go to them. The other thing I would like to invite you to do is think about ways that you can engage all of your senses. So I have stuff that will, satiate my taste, whether it's tea or something else that I can ingest. We talk about touch. What can we touch? Like what feels good? Think about sounds. Think about all of those things that are the senses and how you can engage them and maybe add them to your ritual. So like I said, write down pre-ritual preparation, tools and materials, ritual steps. You will determine what they are for yourself, define them. And something I found that's powerful for me too is documenting it, not because it's for anyone else, but it also was a way for me to kind of lock in that moment of that ritual felt amazing. I've taken a picture. Maybe if I'm drawing, I have a place where I'm posting them, because that energy, the memory, we have muscle memory, and we can also quickly get back to feeling like ourselves as soon as we engage in something. That's why I was asking if you were referencing something from pre this time that made you feel good. Turn that up. And so take some time to do that. So we're going to take a few minutes. What I want you to do is kind of sit and think about, if you have a ritual now that you love, how to maybe expand it out, add more elements, add more sensory points, ways that you can perceive it and fully kind of embrace it more, ways that you can take it in. And also, I would like to maybe have you think about your practice. If you're as creatives, we all have different practices. What I've also been doing for myself is revisiting things I loved to do when I was super little. And so I am a performance-based artist, but I used to love to draw and sketch. And so now it's taken some of the pressure off of, this isn't me trying to do another performance art piece or fabricate something, but instead, what other things that are in the creative space that you love that you can play with. I'll give you a quick example. My son is a student at Baltimore School for the Arts. He's a film student. He has a bass guitar. He loves playing it, but he's like, that's not my mode. That's not my art practice. But that's the thing he goes to when he wants to release a pressure valve, when he just wants to, that's his ritual. He's like, he puts on some lights that like kind of shimmer in the room. He goes into the space and he just plays a song, and then he journals after the thoughts. So I'm going to give you some time. Let's take maybe 5 minutes or so and just write those things down and start to like jot things that come up in your mind. So we'll do that. If there's any questions though, please like raise your hand or unmute. But for now, we're just gonna start to think about the pre-ritual preparation, the ritual steps, and your post-ritual. So we're gonna take a few minutes. Okay, so let's maybe take 1 more minute. This is definitely something that's gonna hopefully be the beginning, like that you're planting a seed and then you'll get to spend more time developing this for sure. But I definitely wanna make sure that we have time to share and maybe like share it out and kind of tease it out as a group before you continue to work on it individually after the session is over. So let's take 1 more minute. Okay, so what I would love to do next is talk about creating your own individual ritual. Because right now you're writing down the tools and materials. You've maybe hopefully determined the steps themselves, and then your post ritual, like how you can harness the creative spark. And so part of when you create your own is I'm thinking of ways that I can fully engage me as a full sensory being, all of my senses. So right now I have less access to materials and supplies because I'm not at my studio. I'm in my space. I'm not, where I normally create work. I'm not even able to engage in the same way. So I've been trying to think about integrating inspiring things, like inspiring materials. And so I would love for everyone to also think about where in your space can you maybe find inspiring things. My biggest thing is my spice cabinet. I have been really playing with thinking about what the smells of, like what did my grandmother's kitchen smell like? and then I'll go and I will open a spice, and I think, how can this spice become a part of a ritual for me? Because when I smell it, and when I maybe ingest it, or maybe when I play with it, how can I have it inform something that maybe brings me back to when I was 6 in my grandmother's kitchen, and I felt like me, and I felt seen and loved and whole, and I looked at this woman who to me was powerful and could do everything. And so think about maybe creative materials that you're like, wow, that typically wouldn't be where I go to source information for myself as an artist, but like my spice cabinet. And then also think about the framework. And when I say the framework, I think for myself, okay, this is what I've done for myself. I have many rituals, but I definitely have something that is for the morning for myself to begin my day. Many of you shared what your morning ritual looks like. So think about something you can do in the morning to kind of set yourself up for success, to set an intention, to really start your day in a way that you feel whole. And then I also think about something I can do at night before I go to bed. What am I doing? It's like super important to me right now, especially because of all the information that I'm getting through this screen and my phone. And that seems like everything in my life is either coming through my screen or is in my house. So how can I set everything down, let it all go, and then set myself up for a restful night's sleep? And also, like, if you have other people in your space, what rituals can you create around your evening for yourself? So think about a morning ritual. That's what I mean by the framework, like frame your day, grounded in ritual, morning, evening before you go to bed. And then I always have something that I can plug in at any point during the day. This is important to me. It's almost like, it's like at any moment, if I'm not feeling like me, this is what I can do. This is the way I can inject self-love or self-care or just refocus and reset. So what's something that you can do during the day? And so I'll share quickly my morning, a different morning one, and then an evening thing that I do, and then my kind of anytime when I need it, pop in. So one of my morning rituals is that I will write, hold on, I'm gonna show you because I have an example. I write these kind of, you may not be able to read it, but I take index cards, stickers, anything that I can find, and then I write affirmations to myself. And I say, I got this. I can do anything. I am powerful. These are all over my house. What's important is that every day for myself, I write something to me from me, and I put it on my mirror. I put it on, this one is on the window, and they're in really interesting, different, odd places because I want to make sure that I see. So every day I'm adding a little bit more of an affirmation from myself to myself. And I put that somewhere that I'm looking, that maybe I wouldn't normally look, by a doorknob, on the cabinet. My mirror in my bathroom is covered in them, the windows. And so that's my morning ritual. And so I've ended up with this kind of beautiful collage of sorts of like love language from me to me. So my nighttime ritual that I've added for myself is that I really love the sound of water. So I have an app on my phone called Rain Rain. It's just a soothing like water app, but I can like literally make sounds, or I can create all of these soundscapes where sometimes it sounds like the ocean with water coming from a creek, or sometimes it sounds like a thunderstorm. And so I've added that. I also completely shut off my phone, meaning all notifications, no information that's coming in at all after a certain time. Use Rain Rain every night. So like that's something that I do. Insight timer. Yeah. So think about those things. For me, I also write down everything that I appreciated during the day. So I'm sitting in my bed. I will sit down. I turn on Rain Rain or some other kind of soothing soundscape that helps me, I also have a glass of water because I want to hydrate myself. And that's just a part of the ritual. I feel like I'm hydrating my body, I'm nourishing my body, and I'm nourishing myself, and I'm nourishing my mind. And then I will write down everything I appreciate. Something simple like when my daughter drew me a picture and it was amazing for the day, or a great cup of tea, or if I had a great call with someone, or if I just danced, and whatever it is, something I'm grateful for. And I just kind of write at least 5. I don't make myself write a certain number, but I end up with this kind of log of like, these were the great things about today that I want to take with me into sleep. And so then the thing that I do during the middle of the day is I'll share quickly two things. One is I always have a playlist ready to go. Movement, dance is great for me. I feel like I'm in my body. I can control that. I can emote and let things go. So I can turn on a song and that's 2 to 3 minutes and just dance it out. That's something that helps me. It's like, I can just stop everything. Guys, I have to leave this Zoom meeting. I can't be on this call right now. I need a few minutes and I will just dance. And I'll dance all over my house. Dance while cooking, dance while doing anything. The other thing I do is I have a mirror. So I keep a small little mirror. I'm not going to take it out because I can't find it right now. But it's a small mirror and I will just look at myself and I'll breathe. I'll do 3 deep breaths and I'll tell myself something that I love about me. Just like, I loved when, and I fill in the blank, because to me, it's what I call evidence. It's my truth. And so if something feels like it's bigger than me, I can always go back to my truth and I can look at myself in my mirror. Now I want to find it. Oh, here it is. It's a little compact and I will look at myself and just speak to me. And that literally is 2 to 3 minutes. So those were a lot of things I gave you. What I would love is if someone would like to share maybe something that came up for them when they were thinking about the tools, the ritual steps, what your post-ritual would be, like how you will harness that. For me, like I said, an example was when I actually wrote these affirmations of love to myself and I put them all over the house. So now I have this kind of collage, and that's the way I can document and keep track of it for me. And it's a beautiful thing to look back at. And then also maybe some inspiring things that came up when you were thinking about building your own. So if you'd like to share, please raise your hand or unmute. I just want to know what's coming up for everybody. Okay, at the end of the day, oh, it popped away. Does anyone else want to share? Use Calm app. I definitely am going to make an evening ritual a gratitude list. Robin, did you want to share? Okay, walking. Something came up was my choice of clothing. That's brilliant. Yeah. Please keep sharing.
And Robin, if you'd like to unmute yourself and share, go right ahead.
Okay. So I saw a lot, I usually sing, I find vibration. Yeah. That's one thing that's been powerful for me too, is how I am treating my body on the outside, because I feel like, for example, today it's raining. And if I was like, okay, I kind of want to lay down, but I actually want to get up. Oh, is someone going to share? They're off mute? No?
I think so. Finally. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Hi.
This is Robin.
Hi,
Hi.
Robin. Okay.
Okay, so bath is a ritual. It's not always every day, but whatever I decide, it has to be. I have to have like smoky steam. I need all of that. Bubbles, jazz, candles, some kind of something to drink. All of that has to happen in order for me to really feel like I'm in that right space. And quiet also helps a lot. So yeah, and when I get in that kind of sense, I'm usually a little bit better at hearing things in my head that I want to write down.
Okay.
As far as music. Yeah, thanks.
And so, Robin, are you doing that? Is that something that you feel like you are doing on a regular basis? So it's kind of helping you, and it's become a practice, your ritual of the kind of bath.
Yeah, if I'm able to, sometimes it's a lot of not downtime,
Yeah.
not really, but yeah, making it more consistent. Because showers are big, it's quick, fast, okay. But bath, I feel like that really gives me time to just focus in on me.
What I was suggesting potentially is if you have a bigger ritual that requires more space and time and maybe more materials and just it's maybe bigger. I think what I've done is, like, for example, I've created a smaller ritual around like washing my hands. So it's not the same as the bath, right? But I'm like,
Right.
you know what? If I'm washing my hands more often, I will now use essential oils. They're right next to the sink. I will have a kind of special bowl. I will heat the water in a certain way. So I'm actually like bathing my hands and having the same kind of sensory moment. And I think about, so it's like, could you adopt or adapt your bigger ritual to something smaller and just even call in that information that you have from when you're in the bath? That's something I wanted you to invite you to try. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And from
So,
James.
Does anyone else?
Oh, I was going to share a few more in the chat if you're willing.
Yay.
Great. So James said, Nicoletta, thanks for validating that rituals connected to senses are important. I'm realizing so many of rituals are connected to keeping me open. And Cindy recommended kava stress relief tea. Elizabeth, I'm loving how this pattern of thinking is helping me name and uncover rituals that already exist. Seeing them and naming them are very powerful, and I can even enrich them. We've got Matthew, who wears all white every 5 days. Stacy loves traditional medicinal tea. Cup of calm was her recommendation. And Cindy also added, I think it is about intention. I now see that you can add intention to actions and make them more powerful and focused.
Thank you for sharing those. So I believe, are we, in terms of time, we have about 5 more minutes?
Correct.
So what I'd love is if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to share, please feel free to do that. You can unmute so that we can talk it out. Did I miss anything else in the comments? No. So one thing that I just want to I've heard a lot of really beautiful things. Really, there's a lot of rituals that we're already doing. What kind of rituals do you create for your students? Okay, sure, I'm happy to share that. So for my students, one thing that I do is that when we first greet each other, we all have to take roll, right? It's like taking attendance. When I ask my students, to say their name, what I say, I say their name, and instead of them saying here, they give me a word that's like kind of a temp check, like where are they? And the word will start to kind of, for them, we've come up with a system of when they say, the word, if the word is on the spectrum of high energy where they feel really good, that's great. We'll push into that. If the energy is lower, what we look at is how can we adjust? How can we respond to it? So I had a student that had like something traumatic happen, a family member, they were processing something that happened to a family member was ill. And so what they did was our rituals now in the classroom are, instead of me doing that lesson plan, if they're kind of not feeling in that good space, they turn the art into the way that they're processing, not requiring them to make anything about the thing that they're thinking about, but instead to just emote. And then after they create, then we talk about, we share, how did that feel? What's happening? What's the energy? So the ritual became around how we make the work, and when you're not feeling great, using that as language. Hopefully that answers your question. I missed some of the comments that came up.
Oh yeah, so we've got a couple of people who are asking about, Joelle says, do you have rituals that are done with multiple people, not just individually? And Michelle says, what rituals do you have for you and your babies?
Yes, so I can answer those at the same time. Yay. So thank you for sharing those questions. So yes, definitely rituals with other people. I do a lot of tea rituals with other people. I know that sharing, for me, sharing food or sharing nourishment is a way that I can share something. And so what I'll do is, it also makes people feel like they're loved. So I sit down with other people. During that time, during the rituals, I will say something about that person that I'm observing that makes me smile. It's like, man, the way that you walked into a room made me light up. And so something that's a ritual that I'm also doing now with my little ones. So I'll share a quick ritual that I've done with them, and it's around tea. We made a bunch of teas. I use adaptogens, so I use teas that are from roots and from flowers, and then we can use them with different milks. And so they were making all these different colors. We were also looking up the types of herbs they were and how they inform or heal or help our bodies. And then while we drank the teas, we talked about something that made us happy. So we had this moment, and it ended up to being like 45 minutes where we're all drinking these teas that we made. They were excited about learning about the ingredients and what the ingredients do for their bodies. And then also we were sharing things that made us happy. So I didn't know certain things. I didn't know that rainbow stickers well, I did know, but she explained to me like how much rainbow stickers make her happy, my youngest daughter. And so that was something we did. And then we all felt like we left with a little bit more information about each other. And that was a ritual that we experienced together. So that was an example. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for asking the question. So, I mean, it's time for us to get ready to go. I don't know if, yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. The chat is full of some more ideas and thoughts. Gail has some thoughts of some affirmation reflections she does with her students there in the chat. And we have a lot of people that are very curious and very much in love with your crown and your throne. So maybe if you want to just take a second to tell us about that, and if anybody has to leave, they're welcome to hop off. I'm gonna share a survey in the chat, and we'll also send a follow-up email shortly. So yeah, Nicoletta, take it away.
Sure. So I'll share real quick, and if you have to jump off, thank you so much for being here. This was a part of me loving myself during this time. It became a ritual for me, or a practice. I literally, when I knew that you're welcome, I knew that when I was going to be in my house for a long time, I found a way to get myself a throne. It's very comfortable, and I actually wear crowns all the time. It's my way of feeling like I am myself. It's, as an artist, what I wear on the outside for me reflects how I feel about myself. So I actually am wearing them, and it's a part of my rituals that I do. I will sit, I'll reflect, I'll read, and I'll take in information. I actually have a moment where I crown myself, and I sit here and I just remind myself of all of the power that I have and all the things I can control. So this is actually a part of the way I show up in the world, but also this is the way for me to kind of create a world inside of create some magic inside of my space during this time. So it is a part of my rituals. Thank you for asking, and thank you all so much for being here.